We are live on the Bullpen Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Chris Krogman at Shy Bears 1985. My co-host joins me tonight, Adam Kunos at Kunos19. You can find the Bullpen Podcast at the Bullpen Podcast on the Twitterverse. We are sponsored by Fanatics. Head on over to Fanatics for all your MLB gear, jerseys, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, knick-knack, paddywhacks, give a dog a bone, probably dog sweatshirts and all that fun shit too. We are here Wednesday, September 7th, roughly 1 month from the end of the regular season of the baseball for 2022, heading into the stretch run for the playoffs. We are going to talk playoffs, but before we do all that, Mr. Kunos, what's going on over there?
Not a whole lot. As you can see, I'm a little bit different tire. It is a big day for, if you're Orlando City fans, a big day for Orlando City soccer. We are in the U.S. Open Cup final for the first time in club history. So we are going for the first cup in franchise history. So big day for Orlando City. Hopefully they can pull out a win against Sacramento. Last I checked, it was a 0-0 tie at halftime. So I'm hoping to celebrate a cup final championship before I call the night tonight.
What is that, MLS?
Yep, it's Major League Soccer versus the USL, United Soccer League, so the tier below Major League Soccer, if I remember that correctly.
This is my issue with soccer.
Too many leagues, too many cups.
Too many leagues, too many cups, too many sub-cups, too many sub-championships. You got Champions League going on right now. Then you have, all of the different countries and all of their different leagues. And then you have leagues within those countries. England alone has like 4 tiers. I understand the bottom 3 tiers really don't matter. And then every year, the whole Premier League can flip-flop, can switch out the bottom 3 teams for the top 3 teams in the Champions League. It's ridiculous, dude. Can you imagine, like, the Iowa Barnstormers? That's not a real team. The Iowa Cubs, like, being promoted to the major leagues, and then, like the
Nationals getting regulated down to minor league.
We're not going to talk. The Nationals are great.
They are.
The Pirates being relegated down to the minors, like, so stupid, dude. So dumb. If you're a soccer fan, I'm sorry. At Shy Bears 1985, hit me up. I don't care. You can teach me, you can learn me, you can make me love it, but I've tried it. It's hard. So I have gambled on soccer, which is intense because every time something gets close, you're like, and it's a stress. So I get it from a fan's perspective, but for me personally, I got enough going on with baseball, football, and basketball. I can't even keep up with hockey, and try to be a fan of that. So adding another sport into that ain't gonna happen. But we're not here to talk any of those. We're here to just talk baseball.
No, we're not. Baseball, indeed.
Adam went and ruined it with his attire tonight, but that's okay.
I do it. It's me.
Looks like a Vikings fan right now. That's cool.
I mean,
do you guys budget for all the shit you buy?
This is actually anniversary gift for my wife during our first anniversary. We were supposed to go up to Georgia for our first anniversary to go diving in the Georgia Aquarium, but that's when Hurricane Irma decided to sweep through the entire state, so we were pretty much bunkered down in our apartment for 2 days while that storm just barreled through the state. So
where's all your banners behind you?
So my wife is huge into Halloween, so I have let her decorate the house with Halloween. I know it's September, but she is a huge Halloween fan, and being the good husband I am, I said you can decorate for Halloween.
So we're going to go through the weekend recap now because I'm done talking about Adam and his personal life.
That's another episode.
Adam, where would you like to start, friend?
All right, let's start with I think one of the probably the bigger series. It was the New York Yankees at Tampa Bay Rays. They opened up a 3-game set in Tampa. Chris, you had Tampa Bay Rays a 2-1 series win. I had the same, and guess what? The Rays did take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Rays shut out the Yankees in Game 1, 9-0, and then close win in Game 2, 2-1. Then the Yankees salvaged at least a win in the series finale, 2-1. Currently, the Rays are 5 games behind the Yankees in the AL East. This also featured Aaron Judge, that's continuing his home run montage towards the Yankee/American League single season record of 61. But I think this also showed just how bad the Yankees have played over the last 2 months, just overall as a team, and how good the Rays have actually been over the last 2 months. If you're a Tampa fan, I would be a little more happier with how Tampa has performed over the last month, climbing up 5 games to within the Yankees. Remember, at one point the Yankees did have a double-digit lead over Tampa for the AL East, and that is now down to 5 games. Tampa is currently playing Boston right now, looking for a series sweep. New York is currently in Game 2 of a doubleheader versus the Twinkies, and they're currently losing 1-0 after winning the first game 4-5. Chris, if you're a Yankee fan, should you be a little worried about slipping out of that division lead into that first or potentially second wild card spot in the American League?
No.
So you think the Yankees could hold up a charge by the Rays to maybe clinch the AL East?
Yep. They're on a 3-game win streak. I know they lost 2 out of 3, but like the Rays gained 1 game. Even when you win a series, it's really not that big a deal. I mean, you win 1 game unless you sweep, and you get a 3-game jump. It's almost like leveling up. But they have a 5-game lead. They have won 3 straight. They are 4-6 over their last 10, but the Yankees are streaky. We've seen it before. They lost Stanton again to injury, so maybe they do fall. I mean, maybe they do dip a little bit, but I mean, Tampa's was 7-3 over their last 10. I don't think they keep up that torrid pace for the entire month of September, but it's possible. What I was just gonna look at. So they're damn it. Here we go. So Tampa's 7-9 against the Yankees this year. So they play one more series against them. So they can do it. They can get that level up 3-game if they can get a 3-game sweep, but I don't see them being able to do it. Depending on where it is. I haven't looked at the exact schedule and where it's going to be, but I understand the Yankees had a terrible 2-month slump. I can't see it continuing. It's possible. Their pitching has been weird again. So
yeah, you mentioned the pitching. The pitching, I mean, it was great to start the season. They probably had one of the better rotations to begin the season, and then they just kind of fell into this little pitching slump. They've had great pitching, they've had bad pitching. So I agree with you. Their pitching has been up and down over the last couple months. So, and we talked about this. We mentioned it numerous times. Stanton injuries. It was just, I hate to say it was about when it was going to happen, and unfortunately, it happens probably at the worst time for the Yankees, getting into that playoff momentum, trying to at least wrap up the division or at least a playoff spot at the least, and they lose one of their power hitters to injury. I mean, I feel sorry for Stan. I know he's such a great player, and when he's healthy, he's such a good hitter, but it's that injury bug that just keeps coming back to bite him, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't see it happening, but second series over the weekend was the San Diego Padres at the Los Angeles Dodgers. I had the Padres 2-1. You also had the Padres 2-1. Dodgers won the series 2-1. Dodgers' magic number to clinch the NL West is 8. Padres did take the first game 7-1, but the Dodgers won the next two 12-1 and 9-4. Dodgers are running away with this division. San Diego, is in the wild card right now. In that third spot?
They're tied with Philly for the second/third spot. So
yeah,
it's a weird tie. It's not a legit tie. It's their
right.
percentage point. It's almost by percentage points right now.
It is. Yeah, Philly's got a 1/10 of a percentage, 1/100th of a percentage point better than San Diego. But yeah, I mean, Dodgers are running away with this division with an almost plus 300 run differential on the season, which I think is historic. If I'm not mistaken, nobody's broken 300, or it's been like a really long time, which is just ridiculous.
I mean, I think it is too. And I'm just looking at the record. They're 94-42. I mean, they're easily going to eclipse the 100-win mark here shortly. You just wonder how many wins they can end up with this season. I mean, we know that the Major League record is held by the 1906 Cubs and the 2001 Mariners at 116. Let me look up what the Mariners were in 2001 because I think the Dodgers are behind that pace, but I'm not 100% sure.
I was way off. The 300 is not the mark. You have to go back to 1884 for the best run differential ever, but that doesn't seem normal. It doesn't seem like modern baseball. But if you jump to the 1998 Yankees, they had a 309 run differential.
Okay.
Most other, like the 1939 Yankees, which that's fairly modern, had a 411 run differential, which is fucking ridiculous. But everything else is in like the 1800s, some 1900s. That like the 1927 Yankees was 371.
Murderers Row.
The 37 Yankees are 308, and the 31 Yankees are 307. So Dodgers will probably get there to the 300 mark. I mean, they're at 298 now, so unless they start losing games,
and
back the other way.
I looked up the Mariners. In 2001, the Mariners were 116-46. The Dodgers are currently 94-42, so they would have to only lose 3 games the rest of the month to eclipse the MLB record. I mean, I don't know if they'll get there, but they'll get pretty close in my opinion. They could end up between like 110 and 112 wins at this rate. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Dodgers running away with the NL West. We kind of saw this after the All-Star break that has kind of been distanced himself from the rest of the NL West. On to the next series, we had the Phillies at Giants. Chris, you had the Giants winning the series 2-1. I had the Phillies going 2-1. And you were the closest. The Giants sweep the series 3-0. Phillies are tied with San Diego for the final wild card spot in the National League. San Francisco is 9 games behind with that series win. Giants win the first game 13-1, second game 5-4, and third game 5-3.
Yeah. Philadelphia and San Francisco both 4-6 in their last 10. Neither one seems like, I mean, obviously the Giants aren't much of a threat. Philadelphia seems to be hitting a lull again. 11 back of the Mets and Braves for the East. They are tied for that, or they do have that first wild card spot. Second wild card spot, because Mets and Braves have the first one. So, yeah. Boo. Boo for both of these teams. They suck. No, I'm just kidding. I just don't think Philadelphia can make any noise in the playoffs. They're just too streaky. Their pitching's been up and down. the last few months. I think Wheeler's been out here or there. Gibson's been inconsistent. Ranger Suarez is one of their best pitchers over the last few months, though, a few weeks.
Yeah, I agree. And then if you're looking at the Giants spectrum, I mean, they're still 9 games back. They're sitting 65 and 70. I mean, it's a good series win for them if you want to have like a little hope for this team going forward. But I don't think they're going to have enough to even catch San Diego or Philadelphia in the wild card. I just think they're too far behind right now. And I mean, they're looking up at Arizona and Milwaukee, who are Milwaukee's the closest in the wild card race, 3.5 behind the final spot. San Francisco tied with Arizona, 9 games back. I just don't see San Francisco making a late charge this year, getting into the playoffs. I think they're just going to be a little late to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think they have it. They were sellers at the deadline. They,
Yeah.
they tried to move a few more pieces than all, besides Darren Ruff, but yeah, San Francisco's not going to compete for the West or a wild card this season unless they just something miraculous happens and they go on a just absolute tear while Philadelphia collapses. So we'll see. I doubt it, but I guess it could happen. They're not eliminated yet. Excuse me.
No, they have not. And then let's go on to our final series. It was the Mariners at Guardians. We both had Seattle with a 2-1 series victory. And Seattle did one better. They went into Cleveland and they swept the Guardians. So the Mariners were at the time tied with the Rays for the top seed in AL wildcard. The Indians are now 2 games ahead of Minnesota, 3 over Chicago for the AL Central. Mariners take game 1, 6-1. Shout out the Guardians, 4-0. Game 3, Mariners win 6-3 after a lengthy rain delay in the third game. But they did end up finishing that game and complete the sweep. So the Mariners had a good series against Cleveland. They had a good competitive series against the White Sox. They dropped the series against the White Sox, so they dropped 2 out of 3 at Chicago. Cleveland it has bounced back, taking 2 games from Kansas City. I'm going to start with these. I don't know why I typed in Indians. Guardians in the AL Central. This division just seems like it's a toss-up between these 3 teams. No one has taken full control of this division. We've seen the Twins in the lead. We've seen the Guardians in the lead. We've seen the White Sox kind of come a little close, but haven't gotten over those 2 teams yet. I think this division will just come down to the last week of the season on whoever plays the best baseball going down the last week. I don't even say 2 weeks. We'll probably end up winning the Central. And the other 2 teams, unfortunately, are going to be at home for the playoffs because I don't think they'll even catch a wild card spot at this point.
Yeah, I agree. It's divisions. It's still up for grabs, very much up for grabs. Obviously, Cleveland still holds the lead, is plus 22 run differential. Minnesota's plus 24. White Sox are minus 26, so it's amazing that they're still hanging in there. The Twins are 2 games back, and the White Sox 2.5. So yeah, they're still very much in it, and it's going to come down to this final month. So it's a good quote unquote race, but it's really not. I mean, only one of these teams is at 70 wins, which puts them in the fourth in the basement in the AL East.
Yeah.
And in third in the AL West. So you have just a whole shit ton of teams that are better record-wise than the top team in the AL Central.
Yeah, and it's actually looking. I'm going to flip the other side. The Mariners. It's actually looking more like the Mariners will finally snap their playoff drought and actually get into the playoffs. Even though they sweep Cleveland, they lose a series against the White Sox. I think Seattle still has a good shot as of right now to get into the playoffs and snap that playoff drought that is actually the longest in baseball right now. We're talking 2 decades since they've last been in the playoffs, over 2 decades.
Right. I think with the Mariners, you have a team that's put together multiple successful runs of winning baseball. The kind of impressive thing, even more so, is they're not gaining any ground on Houston. I mean, Houston still holds a 10.5 game lead in that division, even with Seattle going 8-2 over their last 10 after having put together a 14-game win streak not long ago. So it's very amazing to see the what is this mean? The Mariners and Houston just not, I wouldn't say battle, but Houston's ability to stay in front of the Mariners by such a wide margin. But the Mariners kind of dug themselves a hole at the beginning of the year to kind of set this division in place. It's interesting to see how the second, third, and fourth teams, Seattle, the Angels, and Texas, have kind of moved around in this division. But
yeah. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we were. I mean, think about the beginning of the season. We were talking about how good the Angels were playing, how well they were playing above what we expected them to have, and then they go on that 13-game losing streak. Mm-hmm. Joe Mann gets fired, and then they just kind of keep falling and falling. Texas, we didn't think they were going to be good to begin with. Oakland pretty much sold their entire team over the offseason, so it was really coming down to Houston, Seattle, and unfortunately Seattle. Always trying to think now, had they not got off to that slow start, would it be a little more tired in the AL West?
I mean, it really depends on how slow we're talking about.
Yeah. But, I mean, it just sets up for great baseball coming down the next couple weeks. So, well, that was the weekend recap, Chris. You have anything to add before we move on to our next topic for the night?
No, I'm just looking at these. So MLB has in their stats column has an E number, which is your elimination number, which it says it's the mathematical calculation of being eliminated. I think it's from winning the division. Mm-hmm. And then the Angels, Rangers, and Oakland are all eliminated from winning the division, along with, and those are the only teams eliminated from winning their division in the AL. I mean, Boston still has to lose 11 games. Detroit 8 to lose the Central, which is funny to me because they're way at the bottom. But in the National League, Miami and Washington are eliminated from winning the East. Pittsburgh's eliminated from winning the Central. And then Arizona, San Francisco, and Colorado are all eliminated from winning the West. It's supposed to be total games because the Padres are 7 games, but they're 19.5 games back. I don't know how the fuck that works. I guess if they lose 7 more games, they have no chance of getting that 19.5 back.
Yeah, so it's a combo of wins and losses. So if the Dodgers win 7 or the Padres lose 7, combine either of those together, the Dodgers will win the division. And yeah, so it's a combo of wins and losses by the team in the lead and the team that has that elimination number next to them.
Oh, no. That sounds a little suspect. Anyway, that's the only thing I wanted to talk about. We can definitely talk about the teams that are out to ruin playoff hopes of the teams ahead of them. The spoiler teams, if you will.
Yeah, so spoiler teams, this came from MLB.com, an article they posted today. They have their top 5 spoiler teams. Again, this is according to MLB.com. They put the number 1 team as the Washington Nationals, number 2, Texas Rangers, 3, the Los Angeles Angels. 4, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And 5, the Boston Red Sox. So let's start with, we'll actually go 5 up. So let's start with the Boston Red Sox, Chris. They have some key series against the Orioles, Yankees, and Blue Jays coming up. All 3 of these teams are in a division/wild card hunt. Can Boston spoil the party for one of these 3?
Maybe the Orioles, but Boston's not very good. They're pretty bad.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I don't see them spoiling anything for. I mean, the Orioles are borderline playoffs right now, right? They're 3.5 games back from the wild card, and I don't see them, pushing for the division being 10 games back, but Boston could potentially spoil it for Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm looking at Boston split. They're 18-38 against the AL East. Baltimore on the spectrum is 28-31. So both teams do have a losing record against the AL East. I do like the cookie too. I mean, I have some cookies in my pantry that I may snack on later. So yeah, I think Baltimore has a. If Boston wants to spoil a party, I think Baltimore is the top team that they'll have to chase after for that playoff race. Let's go to number 4, Diamondbacks. They have some series against the Padres, Giants, and Dodgers coming up. Arizona, looking at their record overall, they're sitting 65-70, 9 games back in the wild card. They are currently against the NL West 22-32. San Diego is 31-28. Dodgers are an impressive 39-14. Giants 21-36. I do think that the Diamondbacks could play spoiler for San Francisco, just kind of push them further down the NL West. I don't know if they'll have any success against the Dodgers or the Padres coming up. They are currently playing the Padres and currently trailing 3-2. Chris, give me a team that Arizona can spoil this year.
Padres 100%. Diamondbacks have great pitching. They can spoil it for the Padres, potentially even the Dodgers. Their bats have come alive as well. Christian Walker's hitting better than he's hit in the last 2 months. In the month of August, he was crushing the ball. So he's come on strong. They're doing well. Zach Gallen and what's the other guy's name? Anyway, Kelly are both good pitchers. So Diamondbacks can definitely spoil some fun for the Padres, potentially the Dodgers, and they're already a better team than the Giants.
Yeah, and don't forget the Diamondbacks did sweep the White Sox in Chicago, so that was a series that a lot of people thought that the White Sox would actually win, and the Diamondbacks win in Chicago and did sweep them. So Diamondbacks, even though they're actually 5 games under 500, have played better than what I thought they would have played this year. So yeah, we'll go with that. The LA Angels of Anaheim, Orange County, Southern California, whatever you want to name that team. They have series against the Astros, Guardians, and Mariners. Chris, if you're an Angels fan, who do you think the Angels can ruin a playoff chase for?
None of these teams.
So you think that the Angels will pretty much just get walked over by pretty much the rest of the teams that they're playing for the rest of the year?
I mean, out of those 3, the Astros, Guardians, and Mariners, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they might be able to take 1 or 2 from the Mariners potentially, but I mean, to me, a spoil is getting that 3-game sweep, and putting a team out or down significantly.
Yeah, I think if if I'm looking at these two teams, if they have a chance against any of those teams, it has to be the Guardians. Astros.
Where did Adam go? Whoa.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what just happened there. So we are back. I guess the internet said no more baseball talk and just cut everything. So, all right. So, where were we before that happened?
We were talking about the Angels of Anaheim in Southern California.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if they have a chance, it has to be the Guardians that they could play spoiler for. But again, that's a little far fetched in my opinion. So we'll go to the next team in the AL West, the Texas Rangers. Astros, Blue Jays, and Rays are who they're going to be facing as some playoff contenders. Do the Rangers have a better shot than the Angels to play spoiler?
They do. They have a little bit better pitching here and there. Perez can bring it when he, has his good stuff. What's the other? Dane Dunning can bring it on a good day. So they could play spoiler against any of those teams. Honestly, I don't know about a sweep, but they might be able to take a series from the any of those teams if it is in Texas and and they're having a good day.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dane Dunning is definitely probably something that they can kind of lean on. Yeah, but I think the Rangers overall have a better chance to play spoiler than the Angels do. And where does Texas sit versus the Angels? So Angels are 60 and 70. Rangers are 59 and 76. Against the AL West, the Rangers are 27 and 37. Oh, sorry, 27 and 37. The Angels are 26 and 31. So both have had pretty dismal records against their division. But if I had to give a team out of the two, I say Texas.
Tejas, is it Rangers?
Rangers.
All right.
And then the last team, our favorite team, the Washington Nationals. Mets, Cardinals,
Why is that our favorite team?
Because we like to pick on them.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean,
doesn't go well. Their social media team is mean.
They are mean. I mean, I've seen some of the tweets they've sent out. It's like you just have to sit back and go, whoo, whoo. Wow.
Yeah, for a team that rocks the Walgreens logo, I just don't understand how they think they can run their mouths like that. Just because they won the World Series and then disbanded their entire team. I don't get it, but whatever. Exactly. Good for them. They sold Juan Soto and Max Scherzer and Trey Turner and everything else for a big bag of prospects. So hopefully they work it out. But yeah, they've already taken 2 out of 3 from the Mets. They beat the Braves, or did they play the Braves yet? I think they have a series coming up against the Braves. And the Cardinals are like the hottest team in baseball, just running away now with that NL Central 9-game lead. So I don't see the Nationals spoiling too much, but they do have a pretty good record since the All-Star break. So I mean, these kids are just having fun. Now they're not playing for anything special. They're just playing loose and playing baseball. So 100% can spoil.
Yeah, I think when you have a team with a lot of young players who know that they're not going to be winning anything. I mean, the Nationals were the first team to be officially eliminated from any playoff contention. So they're just going out there playing baseball just pretty much for the fun of it. So if you get these young kids that are going out there just to play the game, just to get that big league experience, I mean, they could turn some heads. They could ruin some playoff chases down the road, and they're just out there to have fun. I completely agree. They're just out there having fun right now, just trying to end the season on a positive note.
Yeah, good for them.
So with that said, let's talk about some of these playoff contenders, Chris, and who has more to lose. So we're going to go through what I believe are the 4 tight division races down the stretch, and we're going to see who has more to lose. So let's start with the AL East. Who has more to lose, Chris, the Yankees or the Rays?
But what do you mean by more to lose?
So let's say more to lose by winning the division. So if the Yankees end up with the wild card spot, and let's say the Rays overtake the Yankees for the AL East, who has more to lose by not winning this division?
Oh, the Yankees, absolutely. If they're going to not get home field advantage, they're definitely going to have a problem away from Yankee Stadium. Aaron Judge hits a lot of home runs to that right center, right field porch that's short. Home crowd is always a big benefit. Rays play a different kind of baseball. They don't rely solely on the long ball. So I think the Yankees definitely have more to lose by not winning this division. But I don't think they lose this division.
No, I completely agree. I mean, if they do somehow blow this division lead, I'm not going to say that this season was not a successful season. I mean, they just clinched their 30th straight winning season. I mean, that's a pretty impressive streak, if you ask me. Um, but I would rather be going into the playoffs with a division title rather than a wild card, because if the Yankees can keep this up, they're playing for pretty much a first round bye. That's what it comes down to. If they win the division, they're probably going to end up with a second record in the AL in the American League. They're going to get that second bye, bypassing the wild card round and getting into that divisional series, which I think is key. And then the Rays, they play a whole different type of baseball. I mean, they play a whole different style. They play more analytics. They play more statistical. They use 2,000 pitchers during the season. It's just a different mindset, I believe, from Tampa to New York.
Yeah, 100%.
So, all right. So let's go to the AL Central. Who has more to gain from? I'm gonna say more to gain from winning this division: the Guardians, Twins, or White Sox?
I think the Guardians winning this division is pretty special, considering we didn't, and a lot of people didn't look at them as a big contender at the beginning of the year. Twins made a lot of moves in the offseason to get to where they're at. White Sox won the division last year and also have a lot of talent. So I think the Guardians have the most to gain by winning this division and are the best story, overall.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think the Guardians do have a lot to gain from winning this division. They currently hold a 2-game lead over Minnesota. Twins, they will have 8 games left versus Cleveland, 6 versus the White Sox, and then the White Sox will face only 3 teams who are over the 500 mark in Cleveland, Minnesota, and San Diego. Like we said at the beginning of the show, this is going to be a very tight division race. I think it's going to come down to what I said, the last week of the division. But yeah, we kind of wrote off the Twins and the Guardians at the beginning of the season and kind of just, I'm not gonna say gift wrap this division to the White Sox just after the way they played last year, just kind of walking away with the division. But yeah, if the Guardians can hold off the Twins and the White Sox and win this division, I think it'll be somewhat of a special season for them, going through all they kind of went through in the offseason, name change, dumping some of their key players, and kind of building around Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, 100%. What's going on with La Russa?
So La Russa is out for medical reasons. He is going to be out indefinitely for medical reasons. They haven't disclosed what the medical reasons are, but his doctor said that he needs to step down from managing for a while. I don't know if we'll see him for the rest of the season. So the White Sox are going to be without La Russa for the rest of the season, in my opinion, for health reasons.
And then who's their manager then in
I believe it's Miguel Cairo, I believe, is acting manager. Let me just double check that.
And how have they done since La Russa has not been managing them? I guess is the other big question.
I would have to go back to see when he stepped down as manager, but yeah, it's Miguel Cairo who is the acting manager. So the White Sox, let's go back over the last couple series. They took 2 out of 3 from Seattle, 2 out of 3 from Minnesota, and 2 out of 3 from Kansas City. So they've won the last 3 series they've been in after getting swept by Arizona. So they are actually playing pretty good over the last 3 series. Even before Arizona, they played Baltimore pretty close. So yeah, wins of the last 3 series. So the White Sox are staying above sea level
Interesting.
when it comes to record wise.
Interesting. No La Russa and they're winning games. Hope Tony's does
Yeah,
better. Hope he's okay. But the we kind of been talking about a replacement manager there all season, so we'll see how that works out for
yeah,
the White Sox, and hopefully Tony can get healthy and if they want him to continue managing, can do that.
yeah. All right, Chris, we're going into your division next. So we're going to talk about the Braves and the Mets. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question. I know this is your division, so give me a reason why the Mets should be worried if they don't win this division.
I mean, so not winning this division and having that first wild card spot, they would have to play. Who do they play? I don't even know how the seeding works. Do they
So
play?
this, so the seeding would be the third division winner versus the top wild card seed, and they
Okay,
would. Um, you know what? Let me look at that real quick. Let me clarify that real quick.
so they would probably play St. Louis, right?
They would probably play St. Louis. Yeah. So
So they would have to go to St. Louis and play one of the hottest teams in baseball. Not that they haven't beat St. Louis before this year, but the bigger picture for the Mets is health and offense. They're losing people left and right, and their offense has been flat for a while. Pete Alonso is a guy we talked about at the deadline or at the All-Star break as a potential MVP candidate, and he has just not been the same player that he was in the first half of the season, even a little bit after the All-Star break. He's been, I wouldn't say in a massive slump. He's still getting hits and RBIs from time to time, but he's not hitting home runs at the rate he was. I think he had 20 home runs in the first half of the season, and he's had 9 in the second half so far. Unless he just goes on an absolute tear, he's probably not going to hit 40. He might not hit 40 the way he's going. So Francisco Lindor's also been in a bit of a slump. Brandon Nimmo's had a bit of a slump. Eduardo Escobar's been in a slump literally all season. And now, Max Scherzer's back on IL. They had Cookie Carrasco on IL for a little while. They've had Taijuan Walker get hurt. They've had Tyler McGill get hurt. So they've just had a slew of injuries. So not winning the division, having to go that first wild card spot would obviously be difficult for them going to St. Louis. Um, and for the
so
Braves, it's
so
similar, but the Braves don't seem to lose. I mean, they had a little bit of an easier schedule than the Mets have had to this point. I was just looking at like records against teams over 500. Mets have a 39-30 record against teams above 500, while the Braves have a 27-30 record against teams above 500. So I mean, looking at that, the Braves have played 57 games against teams above 500, while the Mets have played 69 games, so 12 more than the Braves. And one interesting statistic that a friend of mine told me was there was like a 12-game stretch when like the Braves were still quite a few games back from the Mets, like they were like 10 or 8 games back. but there was a 12-game stretch where every time the Mets lost, the Braves won. And it's just such a weird coincidence. But yeah, Braves have just been absolutely torrid. They're 7-3 over their last 10, have won 7 in a row. Mets are 5-5 in their last 10. It's definitely coming down to it. They play against each other the last game of the series, or last game of the season, last series of the season. So we'll see. Mets have a much easier schedule from here until that final series. Again, Atlanta doesn't seem to lose unless Philadelphia can somehow. You want to talk about spoilers? It's Philadelphia can spoil some shit for Atlanta.
There you go. And so here's the wild card series matchup. It will be the third wild card versus the third division winner. So whoever's the top wild card seed gets home field advantage in the wild card and faces the second wild card. So it could be Mets, Braves hosting the Phillies if these standings play out like that. So it could be Philadelphia traveling to either Atlanta or New York.
Yeah, but second what? Oh yeah, Philly is second wild card, and the Padres are third. Okay.
Yeah, and this is all at one part. There's no travel day. There's no traveling to the other stadium.
Oh, what a bunch of bullshit! I'm
So-
so glad. I'm so glad it's a 3-game series, though.
I'm glad it's a 3-game series. I mean, as much fun as the one game wild card playoff game is fun, I like to see more playoff games just because I want to see, okay, can a team bounce back after a game one loss? Can they, or can a team just go through a quick sweep? So, yeah.
Well, I also don't like, teams having to exhaust their pitching staff to get into the playoffs and then turn around and not have that pitcher available for the first game of the playoffs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. So our last division, Chris, we're going to talk NL Central, Cardinals or Brewers. Cardinals have 4 games left against Milwaukee. The Brewers do have a tough stretch where they'll face the Yankees and Mets combined in a 6-game stretch. Easier path to division for the Cardinals or easier path for the Brewers?
I figured the Cardinals has clinched this already. I mean, they're 9 games up. I don't see how the Brewers come back from that. I mean, they were. I think we talked last week. It was 5 or 5.5, and they've almost doubled it in a matter of a week. So Brewers have lost 2. St. Louis has won 1 in a row, but they're 8-10 over their, or 8-2 over their last 10, while the Brewers are 4-6. Their run differential is staggering. St. Louis is plus 135 versus the Brewers at plus 23. Record against teams above 500 is always an interesting stat to me. And St. Louis is under at 26-29, while the Brewers are over at 30-28. So they're probably losing more games to teams that are worse than them than they should. But yeah, St. Louis is on a tear. They would be third in the NL East. They would be second in the NL West. One of the hottest teams in baseball. So I think St. Louis cruises to this division title.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think St. Louis does kind of cruise the division, and it's a little weird that when we talked about the division at the beginning of the year, how, again, just like the AL Central, we thought that Milwaukee would just kind of walk away with this division. They kind of walked away with this division last year. We kind of thought it would be the same way with them, but clearly Milwaukee's had a lot of pitching troubles this year. They did not have the consistent offense like they had last year. And St. Louis, I mean, I'll hats off to St. Louis with how well they played this season. And just kind of, I'm not going to say getting a youth revival from Albert Pujols, but just having Albert Pujols back on the team maybe kind of gave some kickstart some of the young players on the team. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado at the corners have just been playing phenomenal. Goldie's in MVP talks right now. So is Arenado. I mean, I think you even saw something where Goldie was even being considered for the NL Triple Crown at one point, just with how he's stacking up against the league leaders right now.
Yeah, he was. He had the Triple Crown like last week or the week before, but he's since, I think, lost the home runs to Schwarber and somebody else. are tied for the lead in NL home runs, but I think Goldie's still up there for average and RBIs. And yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, with these four divisions, I mean, this sets up great baseball coming down the stretch. In my opinion, you got 3 weeks of just competitive baseball. We got a couple series that we're going to look at where the teams that we talked about are going to be kind of jockeying for position going down, Chris. And I think that kind of segues into our final segment. How about we preview the weekend coming up in
absolutely.
baseball? So let's start with this first series, Chris. Rays Yankees. Um,
Again,
again, they
this
played
kid.
one series last week. Now they're going to the Bronx for a 3-game series. Again, we mentioned Rays are a completely different team at the Trop. Yankees are a good team at home. Kluber versus Montas in Game 1. Ryan Yarbrough, is that how I pronounce that correctly?
Yarborough, yeah.
Yarbrough versus Italian in Game 2. Luis Patino versus to be determined for the Yankees in Game 3. What do you think? Do the Rays kind of continue their winning ways, or will they kind of stumble going to the Bronx?
I think the Yankees take this one 2-1. With them losing the TBD game because that guy sucks.
Cannot trust TBD. All right, so I'm going to give you 2-1 Yankees. I look at the series, and we talked about this. When it comes down to like the last month, like last couple weeks, teams will just throw out any random pitcher, I believe, to start a game, regardless if they're in contention, regardless if they're not in contention. I can never tell who the Rays are going to have on their starting rotation because they rotate starting pitchers like crazy. I'll go to the spectrum. I'll take Tampa Bay 2-1 this series. I think they win the Game 1 and Game 3. I think they lose Game 2. All right, Chris. Give us our next series.
Next series features the Dodgers of Los Angeles traveling a little bit south to the San Diego Padres. Dodgers look to inch closer to that NL West title, which they pretty much run away with. Dustin May Dustin May throws Game 1 for the Dodgers versus Mike Clevenger. Julio Urias against Blake Snell in Game 2, and Andrew Haney in Game 3 versus Joe Musgrove, who has kind of fallen out of that NL Cy Young Award conversation, but still a very good pitcher. I don't understand how the Padres lose so much, but like you just mentioned, random pitchers like the Dodgers throwing out Dustin May and Andrew Haney, who have both pitched pretty decently down the stretch. So I took the Padres last weekend 2-1 in this series. That was in LA, so that was probably the fail. I'm still going to take the Padres 2-1 in this one, winning Game 1 and Game 3, and losing Game 2 to potential Cy Young candidate Julio Urias.
Years. Yeah. All right. So you said you're taking the Dodgers in this series.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I did not. I said San Diego.
Okay. You're taking San Diego. Gotcha. Um. Yeah, I look at the series. I have the Padres Diamondbacks on mute right now on my TV. That game is currently tied 3-3. Padres and Diamondbacks have just traded back homers the entire game so far. I just don't know about San Diego. I mean, I think the only thing they can do against this series is to delay the inevitable of the Dodgers winning this series. And as I speak, the Padres just clobbered their third homer of the game. So we know that the home runs are still flying out of Petco.
Petco
Park. There you go. I'll go with you on this one. I'll go San Diego 2-1. I just don't get the random pitchers that the Dodgers are throwing out at this point. I just don't get it. But I am not paid to set rotations for teams. If I was, I'd probably set a little different in my opinion. But we can talk about that another time.
You're getting paid? Man, where's my check?
It's in the mail.
Check is in the mail. All right. Series number 3 features the Atlanta Braves at the Seattle Mariners. Braves and Mariners looking to extend wildcard leads. Braves also looking to separate themselves from the Mets if possible in the NL East, as both teams are tied for that division lead at this current juncture. What's going on with the Braves and A's? Are the Braves winning again? Probably.
Let's find out.
Yeah, Braves win 7-3. So I think the Mets might have a half-game lead just because they had a doubleheader, but that's fine. So Charlie Morton in Game 1 versus Robbie Ray. Max Fried in Game 2 versus George Kirby. And TBD versus Marco Gonzalez in Game 3. Braves will probably potentially throw Jake Odorizzi, but he missed his last start with arm fatigue. So it could be any number of people. It could be a bullpen game. Fried could pitch Game 3, and they do a bullpen game on Game 2. This game being in Seattle, makes me lean Mariners because they play, Braves have to travel all the way. Well, I think the Braves are on a West Coast trip, so they're going from Oakland up to Seattle. Still far away from home, still on the last leg of a West Coast trip. I'll take the Mariners 2-1.
All right. So the Mariners are coming off a sweep of the Guardians, a series loss to the White Sox, and now they're welcoming a good Atlanta team to Seattle. TBD, you can never predict how good TBD is going to throw on any given day. That's just my personal opinion. I'll go with you on this one. I go Seattle taking 2-1. I think they bounce back against the Braves. I think they find a way to cool off Atlanta. But I don't think, I will say this, I don't think we get a blowout game in this series. I think this game will be close. Each game in the series will be close. I'll even go further and say I think the margin of victory will be for each game will be 3 runs or less.
3 runs or less.
Yes.
That's not a very close game.
I mean,
2 runs or less, then it gets interesting. Most betting lines are -1.5. So if you don't if you cover a -1.5, that's a pretty good cover.
Okay.
So 3 is blowing people out.
All right. So, well, you are the gambler knowledge on this podcast. As
I don't know shit. I lose a lot. I just understand spreads. So
there you go. You understand the spread better than I do.
Fair enough.
Let's talk about our last series. We have the Guardians at the Twins, battle for the AL Central. Game 1 is Quantrill versus Bundy, McKenzie versus Archer, and Bieber versus TBD. Cleveland currently holds a 1.5 game lead over Minnesota. Let me take a look at how the Guardians did against the Royals today and how the Twins did against their doubleheader. So the Twins are currently losing 4-1 to the Yankees after dropping game 1 of their doubleheader. Guardians are currently winning 1-0 over the Royals. Again, who wants to win this division? Does a team please say, I'm going to go on a hot streak and start winning games? I I give the Guardians a 2-1 victory in this series. I think they take the series against Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota has enough to keep up with Cleveland. Yeah, I'm taking Cleveland this series 2-1.
Yeah, these pitchers suck, bro.
I mean, the only pitcher that has a winning record, or two pitchers, it's game one is. Or sorry, there are three pitchers with winning records, and Quantrill is the best pitcher with the best record of these five pitchers so far.
Yeah, but he's not the best pitcher though. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, records.
He's
say
fine.
pitch-
He's fine. His record is a little bit skewed because Bieber's the best pitcher in all out of all of these people. But I think Minnesota pulls it out. I'll take Minnesota 2-1.
All right, type this in real quick. Oh, you got it. All right. So that kind of wraps everything up for the evening. Chris, do you have anything to say to our listeners as we close out this episode of the Bullpen Podcast?
Go Oreos.
The cookie or the team?
Apparently the cookie, but no, I don't have much to say. I think it's going to be a great ending to the season as usual. So looking forward to next week, and until then, have a great night.
You as well. Have a good night, everyone.